Hi, everyone. Carter Christian for the Kingfisher Miami FC. Controversial 1-1 draw in Monterey tonight. Obviously, Miami FC clearly had a goal that was not given. We'll get into that in a minute. And was playing without Bill Hamid. I'll get into why Bill Hamid wasn't in the team tonight in a minute also. Want to mention that I've watched the majority of games in the USL Championship this season. So there have been over 80 matches played in the league. So I've watched at least 40 matches. Not necessarily live, right? You know, I've been in person. I've seen many matches in person. So therefore, I'm DVRing matches or I'm watching them on replay on ESPN Plus or Paramount Plus or whatever. This was probably, from a quality standpoint, the worst match I've seen all season in the league, which is an indication that summer is coming. It's getting hotter. It's getting more humid. Travel. This was a long trip for Miami, obviously. Monterey Bay coming off a long road trip as well. Several road matches in the last few weeks. So maybe that's an indication as to why this was not at the standard in terms of quality. It really was, I would say, the worst match I've seen from a flow standpoint and a quality standpoint, but it had its moments. And then, of course, it had its officiating. First, let me start with Bill Hamid. He wasn't there tonight because he is the age he is, and he's been battling through fitness issues, and he came back, right? He played in the second week of the season when the thinking was that he would have to sit for several weeks. Obviously, spectacular performance up in St. Petersburg last weekend. Saved the match against San Antonio a few weeks ago out in San Antonio late in that match. So with a bye week coming up for Miami FC, they don't play again until the 17th. The thought was you give Hamid this week off, you got to get him fresh and new on May 17th. So that's good, and that's something that definitely I think is a smart decision on the part of the Miami FC fitness staff, fitness trainers, and coaches. So let's get to the controversy before we get to the match itself. Very clearly a goal for Miami FC. Not only did the replays indicate, now one of the angles was inconclusive, I have to say. Another angle, I thought it was the entire ball was over the line. But not only that, it was the reaction of the Monterey Bay players. You having been around the game a lot, I've been in amateur matches. I've never seen this happen in a professional match in person. Obviously, we've seen it on television. We saw the World Cup when Frank Lampard scored a goal for England that was not given because Manuel Neuer really sold it well, right? In 2010, and we don't have VAR in the USL Championship, which a lot of us are thankful for. I'm thrilled every day. There's no VAR in the USL Championship. There's no VAR in the EFL. There's no VAR in some of the other lower divisions around the world. But this was a clear case where if there had been VAR, it would have been a goal. It was as I was saying, I've been at a lot of amateur matches where things like this have happened, and based on the player reactions from the team that was defending, based on that. So that was a goal. So Miami FC was down 1-0 at that point, and they didn't get that goal right before halftime. The Monterey Bay goal was a well-worked move, but it was a move where Miami FC was opened up a little too easily. A two-pass move, and they're in for a goal, and that was not good. That was not good defending. And Pipe Rodriguez, who's deputizes for Bill Hamid, obviously started a lot of matches last year. Miami FC Academy product. He had good and bad moments. He had a potentially very bad moment in second half stoppage time, which he got away with, where I think Bill Hamid would have just claimed that ball, and that would have been that on that set piece. Instead, kind of made a bad decision, but then as a result of the bad decision was in position to make a second save, or make a save, I should say. But that goal wasn't Pipe's fault. It was a really bad defensive breakdown. But then we saw Miami FC pretty solid defensively after that. But the midfield play, again, which I've complained about for much of the season, was poor today. And as I said, the quality of play, I think collectively over 90 minutes was worse than it's been at any point this season, including the Detroit and Indy games to start the season. However, having not gotten that goal, there were lots of chances where Miami FC, which is a team that was built to play with the ball, which is a team that was built to maintain possession, were able to be quite direct and create half chances, although the idea in the final third wasn't always good and there was poor execution. But there were these sort of isolated moments where Miami FC, because of their directness, after about minute 55, were able to create chances, but it didn't kind of go with the flow of the game, right? And I wouldn't say Monterey Bay was playing particularly well either. It was just an game. And meanwhile, there was a USL Championship match going on just up the road in Oakland, which was on CBS Sports Network, Oakland-Sacramento derby. That was really good, which had the same scoreline, 1-0 at the time. Then after minute 80, Miami FC really stepped up, and you could feel it, the intensity and the urgency. And as someone who's around this team a lot and knows this side, I could feel after minute 80 they were going to get a goal. Similar to what we saw in St. Pete last week, right? When it was 3-2, you just knew they were going to get one, maybe two, and they got one. And here they get the goal. Bonfiglio, again, Johnny on the spot. He is a goal poacher, and he can score goals many different ways. And this is why I think he's got such a great upside. He's 23 already, right? He's not 19. So I don't know what his value would be in the transfer market potentially, but he has shown an ability to score goals from within 12 yards. He's shown an ability to score, elevate and score in the air. He's shown an ability to score from distance. He's been shown an ability to score from tight angles. So really, and he's shown an ability in this match to be a passenger for 80 minutes, do absolutely nothing, and then score a goal, which is a striker's knack. So that was really, really positive, that goal. Had a chance to to win the game a few minutes later. Didn't take that chance. But then, obviously, we talked about the kind of mix-up at the back. Match gets stretched. Monterey Bay then is pushing. So Miami FC runs out with a 1-1 draw. It's a point away from home, right? Feels like it should have been 3 points. But I think you take the point. You take the week off. You get Bill Hamid healthy. Get him fit. Mitrano didn't play tonight. I don't know the circumstance around. That's surprising. Jonathan Ricketts was back in the team. And you go from here. One thing I need to point out is Michael Lawrence, who has been on and off in and out of the squad and on and off the team for 3 seasons now. Local kid. He's from Miramar, right? He's from the Miami Fort Lauderdale area. Mikey Lawrence has played pretty well, really well as a substitute the last 2 weeks, coming on in the second half. And actually he set up one of those great opportunities. I forgot about that. Bonfiglio just wide. Really out of nothing, Lawrence picks up his head, picks out a pass on a counterattack, finds Bonfiglio, pushes it wide. Also, he showed a lot of energy in some of the high pressing. He's a player that has been hit or miss in the past, but has generally not been fully fit and has generally, kind of shown some discipline problems. Not discipline problems in the sense that he acts out all around the team, but discipline problems on the pitch in matches. Like a lot of local guys from South Florida, quite frankly, who don't necessarily make it as a professional. And he's been really good the last 2 matches. Like, this is the best I've seen him since he joined with Miami FC in 2023. Came back in 2024, a little bit into the season, and then was signed to a full year. He was brought in on a 25-day contract and was signed to a full-year deal, then got hurt, then came back. This is the best he's looked. And I think that gives Miami FC yet another option off the bench, someone that we weren't thinking about. This is a really deep squad. It's a result. It's not the result maybe we feel is justified based on that call. But it's a result nonetheless. Still fought and clawed back after that bad call. You could go into halftime heads down and then just give up, and Monterey Bay scores three goals in the second half, and you lose 4-0. You could put your head down after such a poor call. Which, by the way, I should mention before we get out of here, the officiating in this match, it wasn't just that missed call. It was terrible. And it was terrible for both teams. Obviously, it was worse for Miami because of the missed call. But the inconsistency, and it was an official, and I hate this, it was an official that showed a yellow card immediately to a Monterey Bay player to try and assert control over the match. And then to Zarate from Miami FC a few minutes later, early first 10 minutes. And at that point, you're thinking, okay, this is a referee that's going to have to become inconsistent because they showed cards for minor infractions early. And that's what happened. And there were bookable offenses that were not even called as fouls later in the match. There were fouls called when there was very little contact. There was obviously the missed goal. There was all kinds of this was just a really poorly officiated match. So in addition to the poor quality of the match, there was poor officiating. There was the very big missed goal. But Miami FC gets a point, which is a positive, right? And now come home for two matches, which are, I think, fairly winnable against Eastern Conference rivals. So all in all, positive, and Bonfiglio, another goal. That especially is positive.